Hey guys, welcome back to today's second video. So today we're going to go over a scenario, actually just talk about whether or not Republicans can win the presidential election without the state of Florida. And this is a hotly contested issue because Florida ultimately has gone with the presidential election winner since 1996. And overall, it's an accurate indicator of where typical swing states would go. And overall, this would definitely be a big blow to Republicans if they could not win in a state like Florida. Because if they can't win in a state like Florida, that means they can't win in a state like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And the overall answer is yes, they can win without Florida, but it's not likely. The chances are very slim. If Republicans can't appeal to voters in Florida, they're not going to appeal to the white working class. If they're not taking a big swing state and going to a leaning Democratic state and try to win there, it's most likely not going to work. Donald Trump won the Rust Belt, which was an accurate indication. The fact that he won almost every other swing state that was up on the ballot, and that was contested by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And overall, the blatant facts are Republicans have a far worse way of getting to the presidency than the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has by far more avenues to getting to the presidency. They could win in a state like Florida, which could put them over the top, and lose in a state like Michigan or a state like Pennsylvania, or even Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and they could still win the presidency. And that's a harsh truth for a lot of Republicans. They are systematically disadvantaged by the proportional system on the electoral map. If anything, they're lucky that a lot of Democrats are condensed into California, because if they were evenly dispersed across the country into states like Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, these states would turn safe blue and more electoral votes would be taken away from the Republican Party. And these are all states that voted for Donald Trump in 2016. So now we have to look at the map now. So we have to fill in the Northeast, of course. The state of Virginia, you know that one is trending more and more Democratic every election year, and it's getting a lot harder for Republicans to win that state, so I'm going to leave. I'm actually going to give that one to the Democratic Party. But as of right now, this is the electoral map with pretty much safe states in if we have a typical Republican running and a typical Democrat running. So right now we have 213 electoral votes for the Democrat and 191 for the Republican. So let's say they win the state of Florida. That opens up avenues to win in states like North Carolina, Ohio, and Iowa, putting them 11 electoral votes away from the presidency. Where can they get that? They can get that in the Rust Belt. They can win the state of Wisconsin, and then win in the state of Maine, putting them over the top. Or let's say they lose the state of Maine and they lose the state of Wisconsin, they can pick up for that in the state of Pennsylvania. Or let's say they lose the state of Pennsylvania, Michigan. And overall, if the Rust Belt turns Republican, all the other swing states like Ohio, Iowa, Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida are likely going to stay Republican or vote Republican. And that really shows the power of how if one state flips, other states are likely to flip. The ideals in states like Michigan really are shown in general election years. States like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania have voted for the Democratic Party for almost 3 decades, and then they flipped to the Republican Party because of Donald Trump. And that's something very strange. And the reason behind it is because Donald Trump was able to better appeal to these people than Democrats were in this election year. Somehow he was able to overcome Hillary Clinton, who was supposedly unbeatable on election day, and win around an Obama margin. So now let's go back to the state of Florida. And let's say a Democrat wins the state of Florida. That puts them over the top. But let's say they lose a state like Michigan, which is unlikely considering Donald Trump's approval rating in this state is very low, but we're not going to consider that right now. So we have a Democrat still winning with the state of Florida, but losing a state in the Rust Belt. But to be honest, if a state like Michigan is flipping, a state like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania are probably flipping as well. But then we go over to the western coast. Colorado and Nevada are likely to stay Democratic. And then same thing in the state of New Hampshire, but in Maine, one electoral vote could go to the Republican Party. So this would be the electoral map without the state of Florida. Yes, they can still win without it, but if Democrats are winning in states like Florida, they're winning in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. If a Democrat wins in any of these states, they win the general election. So the short answer is yes, they can win without the state of Florida, but the real answer is no, it's not likely, and it's probably not going to happen in future election years. So that's my analysis as to what's happening here. Pretty much, although the ideals may be different in states like Florida with the huge Latino population, swing states indicate other swing states flipping. States like North Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, and Ohio all flipped. Nearing the Rust Belt, nearing the South. Florida flipped as well. Michigan flipped as well. Wisconsin flipped as well. Pennsylvania flipped as well. So this is the final electoral map considering there wasn't actually a prediction, so this isn't really a final electoral map, but it's just an analysis of can Republicans win without the state of Florida. And in future elections, yes, they can win without it, but it's not going to be likely. And although there may be different ideals, if they lose in a state like Florida, states like New Hampshire and Georgia come up for grabs for the Democratic Party, and it overall hurts their chances of winning in other states. So thank you guys for watching this video. I'll get one out soon. Another one out, sorry. Thank you guys for watching again, and I'll see you all tomorrow.